Atheist Nomads, episode 239. American Atheists, again, with David Silverman.
The podcast you're about to listen to includes cursing and talking about hoo-haws. Please be advised.
Welcome to another episode of Atheist Nomads. I am Dustin, and joining me is Lauren.
Hello.
In about 10 to 15 minutes, we'll have David Silverman with us from American Atheists. And I already recorded the interview, and it was a lot of fun. He basically just took care of himself. It was a good interview. And
that's the best kind of interview right there.
Hopefully my voice sounds better than it does in the interview. I was still getting over a cold at that point, so my voice was a bit rough.
Don't let him off the hook, guys. Complain.
You need to announce that Women v. Religion, the case against faith and for freedom, is now available for pre-order. It will be finally released on June 1, 2018. This is the latest collection of essays that Karen Garst has released, who we had on the show back in December while we were out on parental leave. We actually talked to her in October or November. And we'll be getting some more of the authors on that book here in the next several months, probably closer to the summer as when those will be released. Which will be nice because the book will come out, and then we'll interview some of the authors, and it will be one nice big happy family. Yes, and then we will go to the cabin.
And then we'll disappear. We'll run away for a while.
On February 14, Nicholas Cruz took an Uber with a backpack and a long bag to the Stoneman Douglas High School. He then entered the freshman building containing 30 classrooms and about 900 students and 30 teachers. He pulled the fire alarm and then began shooting his legally obtained Smith & Wesson M&P 15, an AR-15 style rifle. After 6 minutes of shooting, he dropped the gun and then blended in with the fleeing students, and he was arrested a little over an hour later. 14 students and 3 staff members were killed. 15 were injured and needed to be taken to the hospital. This is one of the worst school shootings ever.
Yeah, it is. I have to admit, though, I'm having a hard time feeling anything about it. The initial report was like, oh, another one.
Yeah. This has become normal.
Yep. And that's disgusting.
There are about 150,000 people who have in some way encountered a school shooting since Columbine.
Yeah.
That's not even 19 years ago.
I still remember that like it was freaking yesterday.
That was 1999.
Yeah. I was about to getting into school. I was about to enter high school. You can't wear trench coats. That was the joke. We never, ever thought it would get this bad.
Yeah, oh man. So what kind of response have we seen from politicians? From the Republican side, with a few exceptions. Kasich from Ohio is, who's probably going to be running for president again, has said that we need to ban assault weapons. Democrats are wanting to at least have a discussion about how to stop this from happening. And the rest of the Republicans, thoughts and prayers.
Yes, literally, yeah, thoughts and prayers. Facebook tweets, no action. In fact, the NRA had a major sale 2 days after the shooting. It's amazing. It is just amazing that more people aren't outraged.
Thoughts and prayers have never done anything. It's been nice to see some protests where students are from the very high school where the shooting happened are absolutely livid about the lack of action. It's been nice to see people sending campaign contribution checks to Republicans that are running for re-election for the amount of thoughts and prayers. They do nothing. And what is so frustrating here is the Republican Party has politicized everything. They keep on complaining that Democrats keep making everything into a partisan political issue. That you shouldn't be politicizing tragedy. No, that is bullshit. It's the Republicans who are politicizing things. Gun violence keeps happening. Mass shootings keep happening. And they keep getting more lethal. And those aren't even the worst parts of gun violence. The number of children who get access to an unsecured weapon at home and kill themselves or somebody else is terrible. One of the leading indicators of will a woman get murdered is if there is a gun in the home. If you have a gun in the home, you are more likely to die in the event of a home robbery. There is no good argument to be made for guns for safety. There is definitely no good argument to be made for weapons of war for safety. An AR-15 is a military-style assault rifle. And yes, I know assault rifle isn't a term that has any real meaning. It is a fucking weapon of war. It is as reasonable to say that an average citizen has a right to carry and own military-grade weapons as it is to say that civilians should be free to drive around in tanks or possess their own nuclear weapons. It is absolute and utter bullshit. And the politicizing of all of this needs to stop. Violence and access to terrible, horrible weapons is not something that should be political. It is something that should be handled with a reasonable policy discussion based on evidence, based on studies, based on, heck, even just trying things out to see if we can find a solution that makes things better. We're not looking for the be-all, end-all solution to this. We're looking for better.
I've got a be-all, end-all solution for it. It's like no guns.
Yeah, that would solve it.
I know. Ultra, super, like, I wouldn't even say liberal, because it's not a liberal/conservative issue. It's a, a respect for human life versus not issue. Rights of the individual. I just don't think individuals should have the right to be able to easily kill other people.
Yeah. It's
a lot harder to do with a knife than it is with an AR-15.
And the big issue, and we keep bringing this up every time there is a mass shooting that we talk about. Reasonable gun control measures won't stop violence, but they will reduce lethality.
Yeah, it will reduce the amount of lives that are taken.
If all he had access to was hunting rifles and pistols, it would have been a lot closer to 3 or 4 dead.
Yeah.
Not 17.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's become a political issue, and it shouldn't have been.
And those of us in the middle and on the left need to call out conservatives on their bullshit and call them out for politicizing a major public safety issue.
Yeah, definitely.
We can do something about this. Australia did it.
Lots of places did it. Have done it.
And we keep on having absolutely insane mass shootings, and thoughts and prayers. Now, that is not to say that those of us who want actions and not just thoughts and prayers are all in the clear here. How many school shootings have there been this year?
Oh, let's see. I think I saw a number floating around, 18?
Yeah, that's coming from Every Town for Gun Safety. This includes a case where a gun was fired off campus. It hit a window of a college. Yeah, it broke the window. Nobody was injured. The gun wasn't fired at the school.
I wouldn't really qualify that.
The 18 count includes police officers accidentally discharging their weapons on campus. Nobody injured. This includes somebody who threatened to commit suicide just outside of a school. He eventually did kill himself after every student was... Actually, not even after every student was gone. 9 months after the school had shut down. Someone committed suicide outside of a former school.
Wow.
That's not a school shooting. The number of 18 is flat out wrong, and it weakens our case.
Yeah. It's just, that's the one that every news authority grabbed a hold of and ran with on their stories, but yeah.
Because if you use inflated numbers, you lose credibility. The actual number is at least 5, probably 8. That's if you're sticking with intentional use of a weapon on school grounds during hours when students are present and somebody being injured. That gives you 5 to 8. This is mid-February. 5 to 8 school shootings. by mid-February.
And that doesn't include the ones that have been foiled, like that kid in Washington.
Yeah, well, that one was actually in December.
Oh, well, okay.
And even that one was, school's closed. There was nobody present. Yeah, this is more than one a week is absurd. Exaggerating it is not necessary.
Yeah, it's bad enough on its own.
You know, even one really bad one is bad enough on its own.
Obviously.
And I still think when it comes to gun control debate, we can't just focus on the mass shootings. We need to focus on the rest as well.
Well, okay, so what was that one thing that you said about domestic violence?
Yeah.
That's disturbing.
Yeah.
No woman out there should be with the NRA because they're signing their death warrant, or at least giving people, the ability to use a lethal, deadly weapon against them.
Yeah, it's absurd. Absolutely absurd.
Yes, violence will still happen without a gun, but you're less likely to die from it.
And for our final news story before we get to the interview, Sally Hunt is an atheist activist, and she went to the Board of Aldermen of Wentzville, Missouri, to criticize the "In God We Trust" sign that the Board of Aldermen has lining their big, massive desk.
Oh, yeah, that's a popular spot for the In God We Trust motto.
So she explained the history of the phrase. She explained to them how this is exclusionary to non-religious people, and that she's heard complaints from several people in the area about this very sign. The mayor responded by dismissing her, saying that she was the only person that they'd ever heard speaking about it, or at least against the phrase. And even though she had just explained why nobody else is saying anything. So what happened? She was told her time was up. It wasn't. She was told to sit down. And then the mayor asked the police to remove her.
Yeah, that is the most undemocratic thing that you can do.
Absolutely terrible. I mean, it's unthinkable.
No, she can't. Well, I mean, she shouldn't sue because suing is not good. But she should do something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, this just shows how important it is that if you don't agree with something like that, get everybody to write a letter to the office. Whether it's a city council, sheriff's department, aldermen, which just makes me laugh because of that one Futurama episode. Or, just if you have friends who disagree, have them write a quick letter.
Yeah.
Because then they can't say, oh, nobody else has complained. You're like, well, actually, lots of people have complained. You're just ignoring them.
We just did. Yeah. Oh, man. And for speaking your mind, being cut short is bad. And being expelled from the room because of it is
discriminatory.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, sorry. No First Amendment right for you.
Ah, man.
Not cool.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
But good for her for trying.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and then I'll be back with David Silverman. Atheist Nomads is proudly brought to you by listeners just like you. You can find out how you can become a patron at patreon.com/atheistnomads. That's patreon.com/atheistnomads. And we are now joined by David Silverman. He is the president of American Atheists and was last on Atheist Nomads for episode 55, which was released July 11, 2014. It's been a long time, but David, welcome back.
Dustin, thanks for having me back on the show. I really appreciate it.
All right, so you've got a convention coming up. You want to talk about it?
Boy, I am really excited about this convention, Dustin, and thanks for bringing that up first, because this is a really, really big thing that's happening. This is when you do a convention, you go through kind of waves and cycles of excitement and panic, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And we are just coming out of our panic and coming into our excitement. And the reason we're coming into our excitement is that everything has fallen together, and people are starting to buy tickets a lot. And we got three major factors that are contributing to this convention to making it really special. And, it's 2018. It's not an anniversary year or anything, But this convention is turning out to be a really special convention. And I'm really excited about it. It's 7 weeks away. It's Easter weekend again. It's March 30th to April 1st, March 30th to April 1st. And we've got three big differences with this convention. The first big difference is the attitude of love and compassion that we're bringing this time.
Very nice.
A lot of people. There have been a lot of conventions that have been going up, and they have not left a good taste in people's mouths. They have been negative. They have been uninclusive. They have been less than perfect. And,
pushing hate.
And you know what? That's just. I have always been a big tent atheist, but there's not going to be any hate at this convention. This is about the fact that firebrand atheism is linked to love, is based on love. It's based on compassion. The reason I'm going to get in your face and tell you that your God is a sham and your religion is a scam and you should dump it because it's shit and deserves to die is compassion. I like you. I want this for you. It's a good thing. I'm not doing it to piss you off. I'm doing it to convince you to think in certain ways that you haven't thought before because it's a good thing to do. So this convention that we're putting together is about inclusiveness. It's about positivity. It's about compassion. It's about heart. The theme for the convention is atheists showing up for good. So we're going to have a charity food drive. We're going to put together food for the homeless. We're going to raise money for a guy who's relocating to America out of Jordan, the founder of the Jordanian Atheists. He had to come to America to live. We're going to raise money for him. We're going to and we're going to raise money for a local Oklahoma City charity as well. And this is the stuff that we want to do because it's good to do. So we're coming in, and then we're going to have comedy, and we're going to have music, and we're going to have, a very positive, very welcoming attitude for everyone. And there will be no assholes on the stage. At least I hope there will be no assholes on the stage. I do want to just talk about the assholes. Not when I talk about people who are not going to be on the stage, I'm not talking about deplatforming anybody. I'm not talking about hating on anybody, but there are some people out there who, in the atheist community, who just poke fun for the sake of poking fun, and they are rude for the sake of being rude. I am not rude for the sake of being rude. There's a big difference between what I do and what they do. I'm doing what I want to do because I want to help you. They're doing what they're doing because they're just assholes.
Yeah,
so if some people are assholes sometimes and they say, gee, I was an asshole and I don't want to be an asshole anymore. And of course you're welcome to come to American Atheists if you're not going to be an asshole. Of course, we like everybody and redemption is real. And, if you're not an asshole anymore, please come. But we're not going to be putting anybody up on the stage who's famous for being an asshole.
Right, because if you did, not only are you giving them platform, but you're lending them your credibility.
Yeah, and I'm also damaging my audience. I'm making my audience feel ill at ease. I'm making the women, the minorities in our audience feeling bad. The people who are being made fun of are feeling bad. I'm not going to do that. That's just not what we're about.
Yeah, and you'd be alienating any members of your organization that are in any of those groups. That would not be a good thing to do.
It's just not what we're about.
Yeah.
It's not what American Atheists is about. So the first thing that people need to know about the American Atheists National Convention is that it's about the love. And we're bringing the love, we're bringing the compassion, we're going to showcase it so that people can see what an atheist convention should be. We've been doing conventions for 3 decades. And we know exactly what we're doing to the best degree that we can. And we're going to make this a fun, happy, fun-filled convention. There's a rumor of an open bar. I don't know, but maybe there's a rumor of an open bar.
Oh, that'll be so much better than DC, because DC, they didn't have enough bartenders for us.
You know what? There weren't enough bartenders in DC. And we're not going to have that problem at this convention in Oklahoma City. They got lots of bartenders in Oklahoma City. And Oklahoma City, by the way, is a great city. And they are ready for us, and they are looking forward to us. And there's a lot of people from Oklahoma City who are coming, and we're going to help solidify the Oklahoma City atheist presence with this convention. So the first thing that you have to remember is that it's going to be a lot of fun. The second thing that you need to know about the convention is the speakers. And, you know, I'm always willing to admit that when I first started to go to an atheist convention, I would go and I would skip a lot of the speakers. And I would just hang out at the bar and hang out with my friends, and that's great. You want to do that, that's great. But this year, we wanted to make sure that we were bringing in speakers that were different and special. And so we've got, on one side, we've got Barry Lynn, the executive director, the former now executive director for Americans United for the Separation of Church and State. He's a reverend. He's a sweet guy. He's really the best ally on the theistic side that we have. He's a wonderful guy, and he's the softest guy. He's the mushiest guy you'll ever meet. On the other side of him, we've got Inna Shevchenko. And if you don't know who Inna Shevchenko is, you need to look her up. She is the leader of Femen, which is basically the chopless jihadis from Ukraine and Europe who are protesting the Muslims, the Muslim imams, the Muslim masses. Their leader is Inna Shevchenko. She is my idea of a firebrand atheist. When she speaks, I get fired up. When she speaks, my blood boils. And she is coming in from, I don't know if she's coming in from Ukraine or UK right now. I don't know where she is, but she's coming in, and she's going to dazzle us with some hardline international firebrand atheism. And then we're going to have our keynote speaker. And our keynote speaker is the movement's first A-list celebrity. Our keynote speaker is Hugh Laurie from House.
Oh, nice.
And he is coming to Oklahoma City. And he is going to speak live from the stage. And I am just so thrilled to have him. I'm just so thrilled that he is taking time out of his amazingly busy schedule to come and be at our convention for us, because he likes our movement, because he likes American Atheists, because he supports us. It's really an honor to be able to tell your listeners that an actual A-list TV star is going to be on stage at the American Atheists National Convention. And, it's just going to be fantastic. And so what would you pay, right? So let's talk about number 3. What would you pay for a 3-day convention that is based on love, based on fun, based on compassion, including comedy, including a DJ, including lots of fun, including some badass speakers, including a Hugh Laurie level of star? What would you pay? Well,
especially when you add in a rumored open bar.
Especially when you add in a rumored open bar.
500 on the low end, 1,000 on the high end?
So you see, here's the thing. The American Atheists National Convention is among the least expensive conventions in the country. And our conventions are much less than everyone else, but I will let you know that we have extremely discounted our pricing. So if you're a Oklahoma resident, if you're a veteran, if you're a student, you can come to the convention for $50.
Oh, wow.
If you're a person who simply cannot afford to pay the full price, I think the full price is around $250. If you're a person who simply cannot afford to pay it, you can pay less on your honor system. We have hardship pricing. We have hardship pricing on our system. So all you have to do is tell us that you can't afford the $250 and you can pay $99 for the entire convention.
Oh, that is incredible.
So we are bringing in, and so here's what and for those of you who play in economics at all, this is total supply and demand stuff here. Okay, we are taking the price artificially down. We are taking a fantastic convention, and we are lowering the price to well below market value for one reason. And we're only doing it for one reason. We want lots of people. We want to fill this room, and we will. And I want when I put Hugh Laurie in front of the people, I want to put Hugh Laurie in front of a huge crowd of cheering atheists. And let me tell you something. If you let's see, have you ever been to one of our conventions, Dustin?
DC in 2012.
Okay, so DC in 2012, we had 1,000 people. We had 1,200 people at that convention.
Yes,
remember how big that was?
Oh, it was amazing.
When you walk into a room full of 1,000 atheists for the first time, it's one thing to walk into a room full of 50 or 100 or 200. When you walk into a room and there's 1,000 atheists, everything changes.
Mm-hmm.
The feel changes. The room vibrates.
Oh, yeah.
And you meet some of the most fantastic people anywhere. And we are looking to make Oklahoma City that convention. We're looking to make Oklahoma City the positive, filled to the brim, less expensive, star-studded convention that everybody will remember for a very long time. So this is something that I hope everybody can come and join. The website is atheists.org/convention 2018. That's atheists.org/convention 2018. This convention will sell out because of the economics of it.
What's the max seating?
The max seating is 1,100.
All right,
and we're going to max it out. We are going to max it out. I mean, the tickets are selling now, and they're selling fast. I believe we've sold over 100 tickets in the past week. So and we're 7 weeks out. So the tickets are selling out. The hotel, we have a great hotel. It's the Sheraton downtown in downtown Oklahoma City. It's a fantastic hotel. Book your rooms there. You'll want to be in that hotel. And we do have a very good rate for that hotel.
When you're done at the bar, you want a short stumbling distance.
You want a very, very short stumbling distance because I hear that rumor of an open bar is just really persistent. And, you know, who knows if it's true or not, because I can't promise that kind of thing on some types of things. But there's a real strong rumor that there's going to be a lot of booze and there's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of good people. A lot of good people, a lot of happy people, a lot of accepting people. And so, folks, if you haven't been to an atheist convention, you know, and every time you hear somebody who's putting on an atheist convention, they all say, if you go to any atheist convention, go to ours. Well, here's the scoop. American Atheists has been doing this for decades. And we have the largest atheist conventions in the country. We did have a 1,200-person convention in D.C. over the Reason Rally, which, by the way, I also ran. Mm-hmm. So this is an experienced organization and putting together some good events, great events, the best events. And by the way, this might be our best event yet. It really might be. It certainly has our lowest prices. It certainly has our highest quality stars ever. So this is going to be one hell of a convention, and I really hope that everybody can come. It's March 30th to April 1st in Oklahoma City. It's at atheist.org/convention, and I'm just really glad, Dustin, that you let me come on the show to talk about it, because as you can hear, I'm really excited about it.
Oh, yes, you are.
Because I really am pumped because I'm out of the doldrums, right? You go through this phase of holy crap, we've got so much work to do. Holy crap, what if this doesn't happen? What if this doesn't happen? What if this doesn't happen? What if you know, nobody comes? What if the stars aren't showing up? What if? But then you come out of it and you're like, oh, okay, everybody agreed to the speakers agreement. Oh, okay, the tickets are selling. Oh, okay, the room block is filling up. Oh, okay, oh, look, you know, it looks like we're going to be fantastic. And then you start getting really excited, and that's where I am right now.
Awesome.
Watching this piece of art, because putting together a convention is part science, part art, and watching this piece of art just come to be and bloom is it's really kind of thrilling, frankly. And I'm getting excited about this as I have for, you know, more excited than I was for some recent conventions that we've put up. This is turning out to be an A-plus convention, and I am really excited about it. I'm really excited about the positivity. I'm really excited about the charity food drive, the food packing event. We're going to have an after party. If you join up for the food packing event, and basically what that means is you're going to you're going to put on a hairnet, and you're going to put on some gloves, and you're going to pack food for poor people, and then after that, we're going to have a party, an extra after party, just for the people who do the charity. Because
nice.
We want people to do the charity. Yeah. And so this is going to be a loving, happy, fun, caring event. And I am really excited about it and really happy to be able to present it and bring it to the American Atheist audience. A lot of people are putting up conventions and they don't know what they're doing. And, well, the good news is we do. Yeah. And it's turning out to be a really beautiful event. And we're really excited to bring this to the movement.
Is there going to be any childcare?
There's going to be a Camp Quest. We haven't nailed down the details for that yet, but there will be a Camp Quest event at the thing. So if you have children, you can bring them for Camp Quest. We don't know if we're going to have babysitting yet.
Okay. So at least good for school-age kids.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be great for school-age kids. We got a whole bunch of programs that are shaping up now, and it's something that I am, it's really going to be fun. We're buying a whole bunch of, little fun things that are going to add a lot of fun to this convention. My objective is for everybody to leave this convention with their faces sore from smiling too much.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
What I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. So that's the big pitch. And thank you for letting me go on and ramble on about that a little bit, Dustin. But as you can hear, I'm really excited about this convention, and I'm really excited about Hugh Laurie.
Oh man, yeah, that's a awesome score you got there.
It is an awesome. It's something that Okay, so you were at the Reason Rally.
Uh-huh.
When I created the Reason Rally. When, in the top lines of what I want to get out of the Reason Rally, there were a lot of things I wanted to get out of that, but one of the top lines was A-list celebrities. And we did not get that for Reason Rally 1. And we didn't get that for Reason Rally 2. We got Penn Jillette, and thank you so much for Penn Jillette. We got Bad
Religion for the first one.
And that was awesome, right?
Yeah. They're A-list.
Okay, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll go with that. But I didn't get, we were looking for, I was thinking Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, or Hugh Laurie, or something like that. And we didn't get any of them for Reason Rally 1. We got a little bit more for Reason Rally 2. Thank you, Penn Jillette, for coming to Reason Rally 2. But damn, we got a couple congressmen at Reason Rally 2, but we haven't had any actual A-list people, A-list human beings, as opposed to groups, to come and actually do a speech and actually associate with us as a movement.
Yeah.
And so this is like the first time that anybody's actually been able to make this happen. There have been times when when other organizations would have somebody, I think Seth MacFarlane accepted an award some time ago, and that's great. Not dissing him, but what I'm saying is that he's not coming for an award. He's not coming for anything other than to help us. And the reason that he's coming is because he likes us.
Yeah.
He followed us, and he's talking to me, and it's a really humbling, and I'm so goddamn grateful to this man for coming and leading the way of people who are going to be associating with this movement in the future. He is paving a way, and in a real way, history is going to be made at this, because society follows the A-list celebrities. Society follows. That's why I wanted one in Reason Rally 1. And this is, it could be a turning point. It could be a tipping point. So I'm very excited about that. And I'm bubbling over about it, frankly. and it's something, when we have been pushed down so hard by the Trump administration, when we've had so many defeats, it's important for people to realize that we are going to come back. It's important for people to realize that we're down but not out. And that is true. Nationwide, atheists are the fastest growing religious demographic in all 50 states. I believe we're 30% of the under 30 and 40% of the under 20 crowd. Mm-hmm. And the reason that the evangelical vote is associating itself with Donald Trump, and they are going to win all the short-term battles, but they're going to lose the long-term because the young evangelicals are watching. And the young evangelicals are on the internet, and the young evangelicals are seeing their older evangelical friends, their parents, completely sell out the evangelical movement so that they can have some short-term gains.
Yep,
and stand behind an immoral person.
And then the older evangelicals are going to die.
Yes, that's what's going to happen. and so the older generation dies out. That is going to happen. The younger generation is going to vote. That is going to happen. And so the shift is happening. It's just that right now we have gotten the crap kicked out of us politically and judicially. Judicially, it's just awful.
We love hearing from our listeners. You can email us at contact@atheistnomads.com, tweet us @atheistnomads, send us a message on our Facebook page at facebook.com/atheistnomads, or better yet, call us and leave us a message at 541-203-0666. We might even play it on the show. You can also help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcast directory of choice.
We're an advocacy organization. We're an advocacy organization. We're, of course, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Please join American Atheists. We need your help. So what we've been doing is, we were started with a lawsuit. We were started by Madeleine Murray O'Hare, who took prayer out of schools via lawsuit back in 1963. And we have been fighting for the separation of church and state since then. And when you and I last talked in 2014, we were talking about
billboards,
10 Commandments monuments, and billboards. Yeah. Yes, billboards. Well, the billboards are the billboards have shifted in importance because, of course, they become less and less newsworthy. Right.
And you had to keep pushing the envelope to keep it in the news. You can only push so far.
Right. There's only so much you can do. So, back in 2010. We put It's a Myth in front of the Lincoln Tunnel. One billboard was on the air in 9 different countries. It was on the national news in 9 different countries. Now we're kind of reduced, but we still get lots of local news when we put up billboards. The Christmas billboards this year were around Oklahoma City, and we linked it to our convention. And, we did get some local news out of it. And we got our money's worth, but there's no more Fox News. Fox News doesn't care anymore. CNN doesn't care anymore. MSNBC doesn't care anymore.
You've become too mainstream.
We have, and it is an unfortunate but fortunate symptom of our success.
Yeah.
Right? This is fine. This is what normalization is.
Yeah, I got to see that locally with Treasure Valley Coalition of Reason. We were in the 4th of July parade every year. First few years, we got a few cheers and a whole lot of boos. By the 6th year, nobody cared.
Yeah, because you normalized atheism. Yep. And that's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing here. That's why I wear billboard shirts. I wear billboard. When I say billboard, I am an atheist shirt or some atheist shirt, big, bold atheist shirts all the time when I travel, all the time. And I used to get stopped. And I had exactly the same experience as you had. I used to get some middle fingers and a few cheers, and then I got no middle fingers and lots of cheers, and now I get nothing at all.
Right. And what's crazy, that's always been the goal.
Yes.
That's success.
That's always the goal. That is success, yes. And that's one of the things that billboards have done for us. People say, well, your billboards, they make people sad, they make people angry. No, they make people aware. They get on the news, and they get people talking, and they make people aware, and they make people talk about atheists, and they make atheism normalized. They make atheism mainstream. And, I don't know if you've read my book, Fighting God. Fighting God just came out in paperback. I went on a 5-country, 3-continent book tour for Fighting God. And it just came out in paperback. And in Fighting God, I talk about the billboards and I plot the billboards against independent quantitative data to show their efficacy. And a lot of times, people who are activists or let's just say opinion leaders, they don't back their stuff up. Okay. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to be that guy. So Fighting God, I take independent quantitative data, which, by the way, I know how to use, and I plot it against, I apply actual real skepticism to my hypotheses, and I try to prove myself wrong, which you're supposed to do for skepticism, mm-hmm. and I fail. And so what I can show you in Fighting God is independent quantitative data that shows, and here's the set of words that I'm using. And I don't believe anybody else can use this set of words. I can show you independent quantitative data from multiple sources, which correlates with the hypothesis that American atheists, all 7 employees, that American atheists is single-handedly changing the zeitgeist of this country and improving the normalization of atheism. I can show you independent quantitative data that supports that hypothesis, and there is no independent quantitative data or any data that detracts from the hypothesis, that debates the hypothesis.
Nice.
I can plot it against, I can put it on charts. In fact, I do. And I can put it against each other, and I do. And I can give source after source after source, and I can show you how hardline firebrand atheism has changed America. And I can show you that the firebrand atheism that's coming from American atheists specifically has changed America. And I can show you a strong correlation for that. And it's a very good argument. And it's something that I'm very proud of, that Fighting God is now out on paperback. My agent for Fighting God is Barack Obama's agent. My publisher is Macmillan St. Martin's. It's one of the largest publishers in the world. They're the ones that own the Flatiron Building in New York. And I am just so happy with both of those entities. My agent, my agency, and my publisher have done a really fantastic job of making this book something special.
Awesome.
And so I am really, really pleased with them. And I'm going back out on a college campus tour this spring, in the next couple of months. So if everybody would follow my Twitter, it's at Mr. Atheist Pants. You can find out when I'm coming on a tour near you. I'm actually going to be in Fort Myers, Florida tomorrow, but that's after this podcast comes out.
Okay.
So what have we seen since then? We have seen a growth in atheism, but we've also, since Trump, we've seen a growth in bad stuff and real huge attacks against the separation of church and state. And a lot of times, I've been in this movement for 21 years. I was here through George W. Bush, and George W. Bush was a cakewalk compared to Donald Trump. And I know there are like 5 atheists left out there who actually support Donald Trump, and I don't understand them. And American Atheists is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we don't endorse political people, and we don't endorse political candidates. But goddamn, this man is hurting the separation of church and state.
Oh yeah, he is an absolute train wreck.
He is an absolute train wreck.
He is destroying everything.
It is. He is not destroying it. He is crippling.
Yes,
and he's crippling
that is correct.
And he's crippling it to such a degree that it's discouraging how much he's crippling us, and it's discouraging what he's doing to the federal judiciary. It's discouraging what he's doing to the school system. It's discouraging to what he's doing for religious liberty in the name of religious liberty, but he's not doing anything for religious liberty. He's doing something for Christianity and only Christianity, and calling it religious liberty. He is really doing some serious damage to us, and that's why American Atheists has had to change its tack. We have a new legal center down in Washington, D.C. We're going to be going after states, localities, and to a certain degree, federal legislation that will protect the separation of church and state and or delay the erosion of the separation of church and state until we can outlast this presidency and bring back what we need with the next election.
So you're doing both lobbying and judicial action?
Yeah, and we're concentrating both lobbying and judicial action, but the judicial action is mainly on the state side.
Okay.
Because the federal bench has been decimated. And so, like, going after like a First Amendment lawsuit right now, it just wouldn't. An establishment clause lawsuit right now, you'd have to make it really strong,
right?
In order to make it stick.
You're just going to get thrown out for lack of standing.
And it's very easy to do that. And so it's something that, and the other side is, if you don't get thrown out for lack of standing, if you go through a judge and you lose, you make bad law.
Yep.
Right? So you don't want to make bad law. We don't want to make bad law. We have to be very, very strategic in how we do things. Now that we have a judiciary that is severely tarnished with the Christian right, because, of course, Mitch McConnell didn't let President Obama fill federal judgeships any more than he let him fill the Supreme Court. And that backfill was backfilled by President Trump, care of the Christian right. So
in some cases, people who aren't even qualified to be lawyers. Yes.
And that's all legal. And so we have to outlast this. In the meantime, we have to be very, very cautious with what we do at the federal level. So the state level is a great place for us to work, and also at the federal level for blocking legislation and blocking things, stopping things that erode the separation of church and state, doing whatever we can, working with other organizations, working with non-movement organizations, working in partnership with non-movement entities, other movements, to slow this guy down, stop this guy from doing what he can.
When it comes to church-state separation issues, there's a lot of Christian organizations that you can work with.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, Barry Lynn, Americans United for the Separation of Church and State. We have a lot of friends in a lot of places, and we love our friends. We are going to be working with our friends to stop whatever we can until 2020. And in 2020, we're going to be really energizing the Atheist Voter program to grow a grassroots atheist voting bloc. That's what's happening from now until 2020 and through 2020 to really nourish the atheist voter, to really nourish the atheist voting bloc.
Very nice.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to, as a bloc, take the country back for somebody. I don't care what side. Well, I do personally, of course, but as the president of American Atheists, we're not saying that we want to pick a side, Republican or Democrat. We are saying that we want to pick a side that supports the separation of religion and government, because the separation of religion and government is a synonym for religious freedom. If you don't have the separation of church and state, you don't have religious freedom.
You can't say it, but I can. The Republican Party right now is not anything that is worthy of any kind of power and is dangerous and needs to die. So vote Democrat, help kill what is the Republican Party right now so it can come back in a less toxic and diseased state.
Yeah, I think that's very well put. The Republican Party isn't going to die, but it does need a reformation.
Yeah.
And they need to see that the separation of church and state is a good thing. And they don't see that right now. And there's no reason for them to see it, because President Trump is giving the religious right everything it could possibly want.
And they've managed to gerrymander their way into absolute control of way too many states, so they can try everything they can there. And the more that Trump can pack the courts, the more bad precedent they can create.
Yeah, it's a mess, but we're not out. Okay, It's a mess, and the one thing that I want your people to understand is this is not the time to give up. This is not the time to pack it in. This is the time to dig in. This is the time to fight harder and gear up for the long haul. This is going to be something that we're very proud of ourselves for in about 2 decades. When we are old and we're sitting in our rocking chairs, we're going to look back at the Trump administration, and we're going to look back at the win that we had when we took it back, and we're going to be really, really happy with ourselves, and our children and our grandchildren are going to be really, really happy with us. This is activism. Activism isn't easy. Activism isn't always fun, but it is always important. And I hope everybody who wants to be an activist is an activist. And if you don't want to be an activist, or if you can't be an activist, listen, folks, we have to talk about money. We have to talk about donations. If you can't be an activist, be a member, be a donor. Because American Atheists, and let me just talk a little bit about that, because whenever I ask for money, people say, oh, here it comes. He's just like another religion. He's just like another church. I don't have to join because I'm not a joiner. And that is such crap. That is such crap. You know, American Atheists has 7 employees, and we're a nonprofit organization, and we do activism for a living. We do activism for you for a living, and we do it for free. We do it based on donations. We're paid on donations. And to let you know what's going on, American Atheists has our books audited voluntarily every year, and we post that audit on the web. So that everybody who wants to know where their money is going knows how we're spending our money. And you're never going to get that from any church. Right. You're never going to get that from any church. And we've got to really make people understand that American Atheists has 7 employees. We have a building with no mortgage and no rent. We have solar panels on the roof. We don't pay electricity either. So when you make a donation to American Atheists, it's 100% tax deductible. But as well as on top of that, you are not just throwing money into a bin. You are buying activism. You are buying activism from an extremely efficient and transparent organization that has been doing activism since 1963. Yeah. And we deserve your support, and we need your support.
Well, and you're not asking for 10%.
No. Well, sure. If you want to give us 10%, that would be awesome. And that would all be tax deductible, but I want you to give until it feels good. But yes, I mean, if you could do $10 a month, $10 a month is a really good thing, right? And a lot of people out there who can hear me, you can afford $10 a month, and it is 100% tax deductible, and you can afford the $10 a month to help out the most efficient and the only atheist organization, the only nonprofit organization. Again, the only nonprofit organization that can show quantitative data from independent sources supporting the assertion that we as an individual company are changing this country. With 7 employees, no mortgage, and no electric bill. Yeah. So please see what's happening here. We're not some big behemoth that, if you donate $120 or $10 a month to the Red Cross, that's a great organization too, but that really is a drop in the bucket. That is a huge organization with so much bureaucracy. And I'm not going to badmouth it. I don't really know how much bureaucracy there is in the Red Cross. I'm just assuming it because it's huge.
It's a lot of bureaucracy.
I'm just assuming it, okay? I don't want to badmouth another nonprofit organization. If you donate the money to a church, the money's gone because there's no oversight at all. There's no responsibility at all. You're never going to see how much that church makes, how much that church pays in programs, how much that church pays in salaries. That's posted on the web for American Atheists. Yeah. So that you know where it's going. So transparency is key and efficiency is key. And I run a very transparent, very efficient machine with 7 fantastic employees and very low costs so that people who donate to American Atheists and people who join American Atheists know that they are joining and supporting a quality organization and that they are buying quality activism from the movement's best activists. And that's something that I really hope everybody understands. No, it's not like donating to a church, because donating to a church is giving money to God, which is another euphemism for giving money to the preacher, and the preacher puts it in his pocket, and you never see where that money goes. You see where the money goes with American Atheists. We post it on the web because we're proud of it. We're proud of all the work that we do, and we're proud. I am very proud of how American Atheists spends its members' money. And I think that the donors that we have that come back and donate and support us over and over again, year after year, and in some cases, decade after decade, appreciate how much we are giving back. And I hope that your listeners will seriously consider joining American Atheists. I mean, the membership is $35 a year. A lot of people can afford that.
Yeah, that's not much.
What's better for us and better for you, what's better for us and better for a lot of people is $10 a month. If you could do $10 a month for American Atheists, that really does help, because our budget isn't the budget of the Red Cross. Our budget is the budget of American Atheists, and we need that $120 a year. We need that $10 a month. That makes a difference.
And if 1,000 people do that, it's $120,000 a year.
Yeah, and if that happens, that changes our. If 1,000 people gave $10 a month to American Atheists, it would change the amount of activism we would do. Okay, that's how much of an impact that would have. It would change the amount of activism that we would do. I could hire a person for $120,000, right? I could do a lot with $125,000. My goodness, what could I do with the Atheist Voter program? I could buy a lot of shirts and a lot of supplies for local activists. I could help a lot of local groups become 501c3 nonprofits. $120,000 actually would change the way we did business. $120,000 to the Red Cross or the United Way, they wouldn't even notice it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they really wouldn't.
So they really wouldn't. And again, no disrespect to those larger organizations. They're doing their thing, and they're important organizations too. But if you want bang for your donation buck, American Atheists is the place to go. And the website, again, is atheists.org. You can go to atheists.org/join and join up as a member or even a life member if you can afford it. If you can do $100 a month for 12 months, you can become a life member for American Atheists, and that's 100% tax deductible.
Very nice. All right, we've got just a couple minutes left.
Sure.
What's the big push going to be with the Atheist Voter program? Do you have any plans worked out yet?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Atheist Voter program is a pretty extensive plan, and we're working it now. We have I've hired a person, Jim Helton, to be the grassroots organizer for activism for the entire American atheist movement. We have we have a large wealth. I believe it's close to 200 local affiliates, and we are going to be motivating them to be doing activism in the name of atheism, doing whatever they want to do. So that they can get used to activism. And we're going to fund a lot of it. We're going to spur it. We're going to fund it. We're going to give them action items from the legal side, and we're going to do what we can to spur them into activism. And we're already doing that now. The Free Inquiry Group in Cincinnati has taken on sex education in the public schools, and that's their activism. But they're doing it as atheists, right?
Nice.
And they're doing it because they love it, not because we tell them to. We're doing it because we tell them do activism and we'll help you, and we're helping them. And they're doing the activism that they love, and that's fantastic activism. I'm very proud of it. And yeah, when the time comes for 2020 election to come around, we're going to have a network of managed local activist atheist organizations, and we're going to do one great big push for voter turnout, voter registration, and voter visibility.
Very nice.
Well, I should say atheist voter turnout, atheist voter registration, and atheist voter visibility. And hopefully we intend to create the voting bloc that we deserve and gain the respect that we deserve in the 2020 election. Our 2020 election is going to be manipulated and affected by the Atheist Voter program if it kills me.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I'm really excited about it, too, because I think the plan is good. The plan is obviously much more detailed than what I just gave you. But I think the plan is good. And I think the follow-up to those 2020 is going to be pretty spectacular as well. And, if you're a member of your local organization, that's great. By the way, you should also be paying dues to your local organizations because your local organizations are working very hard. But also try and get active in those organizations. Some organizations are all about drinking with atheists and going out and having, maybe board night or game night. But there's a lot of activism that you might want to do. And so maybe if you're interested in doing a little bit of activism on maybe a pet project, maybe something that stirs you, maybe that's something that's kind of supplemental to kind of superficial or kind of tangential, rather, is the word, to the atheist movement. Let's talk about it. Let's get you guys active doing what you love doing and get you addicted to the feeling of being an activist. And once you're addicted to the feeling of being an activist, once 2020 comes around, you're going to be ready to help out. It's going to be awesome.
Awesome. Well, David, I think we've taken enough of your time. Thank you very much for joining us.
Dustin, thank you so much for having me back on the show. I really appreciate it. Once again, American Atheists National Convention, March 30th through April 1st, Oklahoma City. American Atheists is at atheists.org, atheists.org. And the name of my book is Fighting God, an Atheist Manifesto for a Religious World. Fighting God is on sale now everywhere in audiobooks and ebooks and Barnes & Noble, and there's a paperback edition that has an epilogue that I wrote after Trump and Pence were elected. And yeah, you know what, Dustin, thank you so much for having me on and letting me talk for so long. You know, usually when I go on television or radio, people interrupt me all the time, and you didn't, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, links to everything will be in the show notes, so listeners, be sure to check that out. David, thank you very much again, and listeners, remember, not all those who wander are lost. Thank you for listening to another episode of Atheist Nomads. You can find show notes and contact information at atheistnomads.com. Follow us on Twitter at Atheist Nomads, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Atheist Nomads. Please subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcatcher of choice, and while you're there, feel free to leave us a review. Theme music is courtesy of Sturdy Fred. Until next time, this has been the Atheist Nomads.